Oh, what up, though? Now, this is something that's a little bit different on YouTube. We got two ex mob bosses getting into it. Now, I ain't gonna blemish nobody name. You know what? Let's check out the video. We're gonna start right here with this guy. That's Skinny Joe Molino, Philadelphia mob boss. You understand? Did his time, no ratting. Actually, he can't stand rats, but you know what? Let's check him out.
Fucking Apple. They blame me. They wanted me to tell. He said, you didn't tell digits. No,
fucking
never.
Apple.
Fuck him. He said, fuck that
They
school.
blame me. They wanted me to tell. He said, you didn't tell digits. No,
I had to
never.
throw that in there.
Fuck him. He said,
Just
fuck
to
that
give you a
school.
little
Love it.
context on what type of
So
guy Skinny Joe Molino is. He's a different type of dude. Now, this my man's Michael Francis. Good guy. Interneter. Well, actually a content creator. Now, the thing with Michael Francis is he played his hand to get out of jail. Now, he had beat 3 or 4 indictments, had like an 8-year sentence, was doing his 8-year sentence. Somebody else got in trouble, was about to put him in more trouble, and he kind of manipulated the game. He danced in the gray area real well. Whether or not he actually put somebody in trouble is up to be questioned. But let's check out my man's here, Francis.
You do what you want with this, Joey. Do whatever you want. You know what? I don't like to make, and I don't try to make enemies.
You do what you want
I'm not
with
going to
this, Joey.
consider
Do
you
whatever
my
you
enemy.
want.
You
You
can
know what? I
consider me
don't
whatever
like to
you
make, and I
want.
don't try to make enemies.
Answer to
And I'm
this
not going
the
to
first
consider you
time
my
I ever
enemy. You can
responded
consider
to
me
anything
whatever
like
you
this
want.
because
But I'm
you'll
going to
go off and
answer to
say
this
things
the
about
first
my
time
father
I ever
that are
responded to
absolutely
anything like this,
untrue. And
because
once again,
you don't go
I'll
off
say
and
it and I'll
say
leave you with
things about
this.
my
I'll leave you
father
with this.
that are
You couldn't
absolutely
shine
untrue.
my
And once
father's
again, I'll say it and I'll leave you
on
with
his
this.
worst
I'll leave you with
day.
this. You
Joey
couldn't
Molino,
shine
who
my
a couple of
father's
weeks ago, a
shoes
couple of months ago,
on his
whatever it might have
worst
been,
day.
decided to
Joey
join the
Molino,
YouTube
who a
platform.
couple
When
of
I
weeks
heard
ago,
about
a
it,
couple of
I
months
spent
ago,
2-3
whatever it might have
minutes.
been, decided
Skinny Joe
to join
Molino
the
is a
YouTube
cigarette smoking
platform. When I heard
motherfucker,
about
too.
it, I spent
He
two,
know,
3 minutes.
well, not he must. I know just off the stories on how he came to power and all the shit he went through, I know he didn't deal with a lot of shit. He kind of put you in the mindset of Christopher from The Sopranos. You know what I'm saying? I think that character was fashioned after him. But nonetheless, both of these guys very comical. I ain't never seen Michael Francis get mad before. Not even when him and Sammy the Bull was going at each other. Sammy was giving him a hard ass time. But let's see what's going on. And we know Sammy told.
And welcomed him aboard the platform, and said something nice about it. I don't recall exactly what it was, but basically welcomed him aboard the platform. What's come to my attention today that a young man by the name of Justin sent a direct message, I believe, to Joey Molino, and Joey took it upon himself to read it during his podcast recently. I think it was in the last day or so. He, for some reason, read this, thought it was appropriate to read this, and said that he was my attorney representing me, and in there he said that it would be nice.
Said that he was my attorney representing me, and in there he said that
stuff
it
like
would be
this
nice.
happens a lot. Now, I ain't talking about them two getting into it, but somebody working for you, working around you, working with you that believe in you, them taking the initiative to try to connect you with another party that they feel might be beneficial. Stuff like that happens a lot. But when you do that, just know you're taking a risk. You're taking a risk of embarrassment, and you're also taking a risk of not being appreciated. So I just want to slide that in there. It's not something I would tell you not to do, because you never know where it's going to lead. And sometimes losing what you got going on just opens the door for really what you needed to go have going on. But we back.
If he came onto my platform. Obviously, this young man was mistaken because he thought he was sending this to somebody.
Obviously, this young man was mistaken because he thought he was sending this to somebody with class.
Which is okay.
Obviously,
I've heard
that's
all
not
of
the
that.
case.
I've explained.
Now, Joey
There's
took it
nothing more to
upon
talk
himself
about that. Call me
to
whatever
me a
you want
rat,
in
which is
that
okay.
regard.
I've heard
But
all
then
of
he
that.
went
I've
on to
explained
talk about
there's
my
nothing more to
father.
talk
And what he
about
said
that. Call
about
me
my
whatever you
father
want
is
in that
this.
regard.
He said,
But then
for
he went
Sonny
on to talk
Franzese
about
to
my father.
associate
And
with
what he
his
said
son,
about my
because he
father
said that
is this.
I paid my
He said,
father's
for
bail. I
Sonny
picked him up when
Franzese to
he came out of
associate with
prison.
his son,
That my
because he
father,
said that
Sonny
I paid my
Franzese,
father's
must
bail, I
be a
picked him
rat
up when he
also.
came
Now, let
out
me
of
tell you
prison,
this.
that my father, Sonny
Now,
Franzese,
this is where it
must
get
be a rat
convoluted.
also. Now, let me tell you this.
Now, Michael Francis, a couple of years ago, before his dad passed, he was kind of being attacked or talked about because it's like, well, why you and your dad ain't close, or why we don't see him on your channel or nothing like that. And their relationship had to be private, obviously, for those reasons. Now, obviously, Michael Francis is in his 70s. He don't look like it, but this nigga's in his 70s or about to turn 70. And his dad lived to be 100 and some change. Oldest living mobster in America. And at 100 years old, at 102 years old, he was still 100% mobbed up. So with that being said, or at least mentally, you know what I'm saying, he still had that mentality. With that being said, it's still his father. Why wouldn't he pay his bill? And then, like, you ain't got no control over who pay your bill. Jail is a business. If somebody come in there and pay your bill, you know what they gonna do? They gonna kick your ass out, cash that check, and put somebody else in your bed, keep the business going. So, and you can't say, oh, I don't want to get out because that cocksucker paid my bill. You can't do that. You can't do that. And then I'm wondering, like, we ain't even gonna get into the snitching thing right here. Let's finish.
Molino, you couldn't shine my father's shoes on his worst day. My father was one of the most stand-up guys ever in that life, and everybody knows it. Even every one of your associates, and you know it also.
And everybody knows it, even every one of your associates,
and you know what?
And
You would
you know it
never
also.
in a million
So what you
years say
said
that
was
to
so
my father's
totally out of
face.
line.
Of course we
And
know that.
you know what?
I
You
don't
would
think you'd
never
say it to
in a
my
million
face.
years say that
And if
to
you
my
want
father's
to,
face.
just let me
Of course
know.
we know
I'm
that.
here.
I don't think you'd say it to my
Okay,
face.
but to call
And
my
if you want to,
Am I
just
wrong?
let me
Or
know.
is
I'm
Francis
here,
ready
not
to
going
fight?
anywhere. Okay, but to call
I
my
think Francis may be ready to fight. I also think, well, Skinny Joe ain't no hoe, but he smoke a lot of cigarettes. I'm talking about he's like a chain smoker. That nigga smoke. He's smoking at least 5-6 packs a day, man. Straight up. He smoke a cigarette before he eat, after he eat, when he talking, and when he start a sentence, and when he finish sentence. I don't see him being able to go too many rounds with Michael Francis over here, who ain't ever smoked and just started drinking.
Father a rat? My father associated with me because maybe he knows more about my situation
My
than
father
you do.
associated
Maybe
with
the
me because
Colombo
maybe
brass,
he
the
knows
people
more
that
about my
that mattered,
situation
know a little
than
bit
you
more
do.
about what
Maybe
I
the
did or what
Colombo
I
brass,
didn't
the
do,
people
than
that
you do.
that
When you
mattered,
feel it
know a little
appropriate
bit
just to
more
shoot
about
your
what I
mouth
did or
off
what I
and call
didn't do
people names,
than
like
you
what you
do.
say about
If you
me,
feel
I
it
could care
appropriate just
less.
to
You don't
shoot your
mean
mouth
anything to
off
me.
and
But what
call
you said
people
about my
names, like what you
father,
say about
who are you
me, I could
kidding?
care less.
My
You
father,
don't
again,
mean
was the
anything
most
to me.
stand-up
But what
guy
you
in
said
that
about my
life. Took
father,
50
who are
years
you
on the
kidding?
chin
My
and
father,
never
again,
opened
was the
his
most
mouth
stand-up
about
guy in
anything,
that life.
and
Took 50 years
everybody
on his
knows
chin
that. So
and never
who are you
opened
to
his
say
mouth
something like
about
that?
anything.
Really?
And
And let me tell you
everybody
something. If
knows
my
that.
father had
So
something
who
to
are
say
you
to
to say
you,
something
Hey,
like
they
that?
acting like
Really?
rappers.
And let me tell you something. If my father
he
had
wouldn't be
something to say
saying
to
it to a
you,
bunch of people on social media. He would say it directly to your
he wouldn't be
face, as
saying it
I
to a
would.
bunch of people on
Absolutely. So
social
I don't know where
media.
you're
He
coming
would
from.
say it
And like I
directly to
said,
your
I don't
face,
know this
as
young
I
man.
would.
And he sent
Absolutely.
you a
So I don't know where you're coming
DM.
from. And
Why
like
don't
I
you read
said,
that?
I don't know
Read
this young
that.
man.
And let me tell
And
you
he
something
sent you a
also. Don't flatter
following
yourself, my
DM.
friend.
Why don't you read that? Read that. And let me tell you something
Okay.
also.
Let
Don't
me
flatter yourself,
translate
my
the
friend.
street guy lingo that he just gave you. When Michael say he don't know this young man, he don't mean he not familiar with him. He don't mean he's not by proxy connected to him. He means he's not representing him. He means he didn't send him on that mission. You know what I'm saying? He means that he's not in direct daily conversation with us. And I notice as street people, we do that, and it's like, well, damn, you just said he worked for, yeah, but, you know, he worked for the company. I didn't actually, you know, I'm assuming he didn't actually deal with him. And then Michael Francis, I'm in Michigan. He be in Michigan a lot, you know what I'm saying? But the mob here is a little bit different than it is everywhere else. You don't hear a lot about the Detroit mobsters going to jail and shit like that. So, you know what? That's a video for another day. Talk about how the Detroit mob is so much different than the mafia everywhere else. And these motherfuckers are extremely powerful. And they all got chips. Friends with a few. Anyway, let's get back to it.
I don't need you on social media. Maybe you haven't been paying attention to what's going on.
I don't need you
I
on
wish you
social
luck when you
media.
came.
Maybe you haven't
He
been
got a
paying
point.
attention to
Now,
what's
Michael
going on.
Francis,
I don't
he's
need
the
you.
biggest,
I wished you
he's
luck
the
when you
biggest gangster on the internet. he's the biggest gangster doing public speaking as well. And that's the whole thing. It's kind of hard. This is why the Joey Molinos is a little bit upset. Now Joey Molino had to deal with the worst snitch ever. He had Phil Leonetti snitching. You know, they took down Nicky Scarfo and all of that. Now, Philip Leonetti did a lot of killings, and he was representing Philadelphia and New York and in Atlantic City, so he dealt with a lot of people. He knew a lot of things. So when he got to snitching, that shit was bad. It was damn near worse than Sammy the Bull snitching. You know, Sammy the Bull mainly just fucked over Gotti. But he did have to testify in some other cases, but mainly he fucked over Gotti and bullshitted or drug his feet on the other cases he testified in, allegedly. Damn, that's another video too. We ain't gonna get too lost in that.
I'm on board. I didn't realize you were a classless guy. I thought you were a guy with class.
On board.
And let me
I
ask
didn't
you
realize
this.
you were a classless guy. I thought you were a guy with class. And let me ask you this.
I like Skinny Joe. That's my man's, but I'm just saying, though. That motherfucker be in a restaurant. I don't know how the fuck he gets away with this in 2023, but that motherfucker be in a restaurant and just get done eating on his podcast and fire up a smoke right there just in the restaurant. Nobody says shit. Respect, though.
Still are involved, and I have no idea, nor do I care. What are you doing on social media?
Still are involved. I have no idea, nor do I care. What are you doing on social media? You wouldn't see my father on social media. You wouldn't see me on social media if I wasn't still part of. If I was still part of that life. What are you doing on social media?
Because obviously, too, there are other people.
Never
that
do I ever respond to any of this stuff because obviously, too, there are other people, that immediately picked up on what you said this morning, and Joey Molino smacked me down and all of that. You're not smacking me down when you're talking on social media, Joey. You know that, and I know that. And let me tell you about Sammy Gravano. He's my friend, like it or not. I'm not interested in what he did before. I like Sammy now, I like his family, and I don't care who knows it or who disagrees with it. That's how I feel. Whatever happened before, none of my business.
Be one of the funniest gangsters on the internet. He's fucking hilarious. I watch his podcast too. I don't know if he intends to be funny or if he's just a funny guy, but he's fucking hilarious. Them two getting into it was fucking hilarious too. That whole interview was fucking hilarious.
Didn't involve me, and that's it. I don't appreciate the fact that guys get on social media and they start talking about everybody.
I don't appreciate the fact that guys get on social media and they start talking about it.
Like it's oxygen.
And other people just can't wait to bring other people down. They jump on it like it's oxygen.
Because if you got nothing good to say about
yourself, it really is. And you know what? It's quite pathetic. Because if you got nothing good to say about yourself, if you can't bring yourself up and make something out of this platform on your own merit, you probably even shouldn't be on.
I don't come on here and
talk about other people to make yourself important. Because that doesn't
prop me up. It doesn't make me feel
I don't come on here and talk about other people negatively.
So let me just
because that doesn't prop me up. It doesn't make me feel good. It doesn't do anything.
I'm not impressed with you.
So let me just leave you with this, Joey. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. Okay? I'm not impressed with you. I'm not interested in your talk. But let me tell you something. Before you make remarks about my father, know what you're talking about. Really. Because if you still are on the street, there's going to be people that are pretty much offended by that. Nobody can say a disparaging word about my father as far as him being a stand-up guy. And let me respond again. If my father was close to me afterwards, and he was, despite all the nonsense that's going on out there, then maybe he knows something that you and everybody else don't. Maybe the Colombo Brass, yeah.
The fuck off. Because Michael Francis has refused to tell any of us, his followers and subscribers, exactly how close him and his dad was in the last days. He let it be known that he took care of him. He let it be known that he talked to him from time to time. But it was always a question of how close was he with his dad, because when some people wanted to kill him, it was like his dad said he didn't join in with it, but he didn't stop it. He said it was okay. So it's always been the internet lore of how close was he with his dad when his dad got out of jail before he passed. I think his dad got out in like 2017, 2016, some shit up in there. But him, as far as him, them pictures he just showed, he ain't never showed none of that shit. None of that shit. And I've been watching this channel for a minute, so it's pretty clear that Skinny Joe done pissed Francis off. And this is the funny thing about gangsters, you know what I'm saying? Now, Merlino's straight gangster. Francis is a racketeer money guy. Merlino, no snitching. Francis worked the shit out the government. But if they was to lock horns, I don't see Skinny Joe winning that fight. But do that automatically make Michael Francis more of a gangster? Not necessarily. But perception. That perception is a motherfucker.
My former family, maybe you knew something about what I did or didn't do that you don't, and that the rest of the world don't, and I don't have to tell anybody. It's nobody's business what went on between me and my father and the brass in the Colombo family during that time. I'm going to leave it at that. So you do what you want with this, Joey. Do whatever you want. You know what? I don't like to make, and I don't try to make enemies, and I'm not going to consider you my enemy. You can consider me whatever you want. But I'm going to answer to this.
And I'm not going to consider you my enemy. You can consider me whatever you want. But I'm going to answer to this the first time I ever responded to anything like this, because you don't go off and say things about my father that are absolutely untrue. And once again, I'll say it and I'll leave it with this. You couldn't shine my father's shoes